funds could be taken away from her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it sounds like she needs possibly another stint a long stint in rehab, or maybe a sober buddy. Have you heard about this?
Wait a minute. What is a sober buddy,
sober
you ask?
companion.
It's the latest way celebrities and regular folks like us are keeping themselves off drugs and alcohol. Not that I'm on drugs and alcohol.
Just over 3 weeks ago, he rocked headlines and shocked fans. Actor Owen Wilson attempted suicide. Reportedly found in his Santa Monica home by brother Luke, the 38-year-old actor allegedly overdosed on a cocktail of crystal meth and prescription meds before slashing his wrists. But instead of hitting long-term rehab for recovery, Wilson opted for a brand new treatment, sober companionship. Part babysitter, part cop, part counselor, a sober buddy provides 24-hour supervision of a recovering addict. They go to work with them, they eat meals with them, they even sleep next to their bed. Allegedly, Lindsay Lohan, Robin Williams, and Robert Downey Jr. have all enlisted sober friends to fight their addictions. Also known as clean living assistants, these babysitters don't exactly come cheap. The cost of companions can range from $300 to $1,500 a day. Wilson is reportedly paying $750, perhaps a cheap price, though, to pay for sobriety.
Let's talk about this. Here today to share his story is Brandon Lux. Hey, Brandon.
And also we have Doug Caine. He's the founder of Sober Companion. Also, Vice President of Seabrook House, Lynn Sennett, is joining us as well. Thank you very much for being here, guys. All right, so Brandon, you were addicted to what?
Crack cocaine, and I dabbled here and there with some heroin, ecstasy.
From the time you were how old?
Started with pot when I was 13. Was drinking a lot. Ecstasy and coke when I was about 15.
Oh gosh, really? When would you think that you were addicted?
From the first time I did it.
Oh, really? The first time you did coke, especially?
Absolutely.
And you told your parents about it?
When I was 16 years old, yeah.
16,
I had a little run-in with some people at school, and I kind of realized I had a little bit of a problem, so I let them know.
Like teachers at school, or?
Yeah, teachers, students,
busted.
yeah, basically.
So your parents do what? Say, we need some rehab.
Well, I actually told them. They were completely, they didn't know a whole lot about it. Yeah, I knew I was in trouble. I let them know that I needed help.
Yeah.
And they were able to, you know, thank God, help me out with that.
So you went into rehab. What was that like, and how long did you spend?
I spent 100 days at, first I went to an outpatient, I'm sorry, and it worked out okay.
Now, outpatient means that you go in during meetings, the day, and then you
and then you go home at night. And that worked out okay, but it wasn't what I really needed. They sent me to an inpatient after I relapsed, about 6 months after I started outpatient. And then I went into inpatient for 100 days, and I came out. I was clean for 18 months, relapsed again, and then went back into impact.
So your parents came up with this idea. Is this accurate? Your parents came up with the sober buddy idea?
Yes.
I mean, they'd heard about that existed, and they bought one for you.
Yes.
And who was that?
This gentleman.
That guy right there. Your first sober buddy.
Yep.
How does it work?
It works like this. In the case of Brandon, I move into his house.
Wow.
And you just hang out with him at all times?
Hang out with him all the time. Sleep there, wake up, have some coffee.
Now, what is your experience? Why did you get into this, and how?
I was a low-bottom, homeless heroin addict. Years ago, I got a choice between going to prison for 3 years or going to treatment. So I got a charity bed in treatment, and treatment worked for me. I've been clean since '99.
Oh, good for you. So you came up with the idea because you knew it would really help to have somebody sitting next to you saying, put that down, do not do that coke, quit drinking so much booze, and it seems to work.
It sure worked with him. It works with a lot of our clients, absolutely.
But it's expensive. I mean, you have to be wealthy to have this type of treatment.
Right now, you do.
How much is it?
Go anywhere, depending on what part of the country you're in, from about $450 a day to $1,500 a day.
That's tough. That's expensive.
Yeah, most of them.
Which is why you see celebrities doing this. You don't really hear that much about, you know, just regular folks. But you say it's more effective, at least in your feeling, than rehab, because when you get out of rehab, you said that you didn't feel like you had somebody, you had that sort of eye watching over you.
Right. Well, I do not believe that rehab is pointless at all. I think that it does absolutely provide a lot of necessary information to, you know, and it introduces you to a lot of 12-step programs, and very important in recovery.
Yeah, because if you don't combine it with therapy, it seems to me the minute that your buddy would leave you, there's a good chance you go right back to the stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, in my opinion at least, treatment does not provide you with that real life experience and the hands-on kind of learning that you can be provided with a coach.
Vice President of Seabrook House, first explain exactly what Seabrook House is. I call it a rehab. Is that accurate?
It's an inpatient rehab for people 17 years and older. That's our short-term program, and we have a long-term program for women with children.
And what is your feeling about this Sober Companion?
I think it's an okay idea. I think it works
Okay.
after treatment, not in lieu of treatment. I
Do you
really
agree with
believe
that, Doug?
in treatment.
Yes, no. I think there's a large population of people, and you'd probably agree with me, who've been to 5, 7, 10 or more treatment facilities, spent $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 on it, and every time they return home, they're getting loaded.
Yeah. But Brandon, let's say you want to go out on a date with a girl. Do you go along, Doug?
There's some very interesting stories about that. And
Let's not go there.
Oh, let's do.
Really?
No,
definitely
when
do.
it gets intimate. I mean, sometimes people like to have a cocktail out on a date or whatever and get in the mood. He just can't do that.
no, he can't do that.
But you need to be there to make sure he doesn't then.
Yes, I do.
But isn't that a little bit, doesn't that sort of throw a little monkey wrench into the plans there?
Yeah, it can. Absolutely. But you know, you gotta understand, it's not full time. You know, he was there for as long as he's hired for. You know what I mean? And you know, at that point in my life, I needed to get clean. I didn't need to be dating. You know what I mean? I wasn't looking to fall in love or for a relationship. You know what I mean? I needed to focus on myself.
I know somebody, actually the brother of a very close friend of mine, who is really going through some serious drug problems. Do you have to want to get help, or can you just be put into a rehab, or can you just have a sober buddy with you, and then that will help you?
Sometimes it works if you don't want it. And when you get in with the community and you get to open up to your therapist, you begin to say, I do have a problem. I do have pain and sorrow. I need to know why I'm self-medicating with booze or drugs. Then they begin to want it. So it can happen if you come into treatment and don't want it. Most of our patients come in wanting it.
Mm-hmm. So have you, Doug's not your buddy anymore.
No.
I mean, he's your friend. But did you move on to another sober buddy?
No, I have not.
You never have?
No.
And how are you doing?
Doing great. Coming up on 6 months.
Oh, good. Good man. Did you ever feel like if Doug was away from you, you were going to pick it up again?
There were a couple times where I got into some certain situations where I just felt really awkward, and I at that time, the only solution I knew to that was, you know, let's get high, because that's how I know.
Did you ever
to
sneak
feel
some?
better.
Did you ever sneak some of the time you were together?
No, I did
Look
not.
at me.
No, I did not.
Well, who are these people? I mean, what are their backgrounds? What's their training? Are they psychologists? Are they just people who have gone through this and
Yes and
can help?
yes. Yes and yes. All the people who work for Sober Champion have at least 5 years off of booze and dope. The ones I prefer are real hardcore degenerate drunks and dope fiends who've had, it sounds funny maybe, but who've had major life transformations.
Well, what if Brandon said, I don't want you in my life anymore, Doug? Can you just, how strong do you oppose that? No, I need to be with you. Can you just kick the guy out or the woman out?
Certainly, a client can kick me out anytime they want.
Then
It's happened once only.
it has?
Yeah.
But let's say Brandon did want you away from him. How strong do you get in opposition to that?
I tell him, listen, man, I love you, and you probably want me away from you because you want to get loaded. And your disease has given you some really strong information that you don't want a sober companion right now.
And that's really the only reason that you would say to a sober companion, I don't want you around. You know, it's not an invasion of privacy, because if you really want it and you really are trying to get clean, you know what you need.
The compatibility aspect here is probably pretty important. I mean, you have to match people up, I would think, with like-minded companions.
Absolutely. It's huge. I got a whole stable of people, from ex-hookers and porn stars to psychologists with MFTs, males, females, young and old. And I try to get into the client's head in initial assessment as deep as I can and find out what they like, what they don't like. You want to wake up in the morning and play air guitar to Def Leppard and drink 3 espressos? I'll find someone who will work with you.
Well, how can you make sure that that person isn't going to go back drinking and using drugs.
You mean the companion?
Buddy, yeah, I mean, they've had a problem.
I've had incredible success. I don't just pick people out of a phone book and say, "Hi, would you like to be a sober companion for someone?" It's a pretty deep assessment that I do on potential coaches.
Yeah.
A lot of testing. Most of them are known to me for a good number of years.
You don't put women and men together, do you?
I will.
Will you?
Absolutely. I'll put a 40-year-old, there's a woman out here in New York who's a 40-year-old probation officer, and I'll put her with an adolescent male.
I'd go that route.
She has the gift.
No, I don't want to flip here. But Brand,
We discussed that in the green room, actually.
Yeah,
He
we
asked me
actually
for
did.
some additional services.
No,
You mentioned the porn star thing. I'm thinking,
well.
there are probably a lot of the people who would like to be matched up with her.
Look,
I would think.
You would be amazed at how many women have had to resort to prostitution in order to support a drug habit.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether the families are rich or poor, it makes no difference.
Brandon, did you ever have to explain who Doug was? He's constantly with you. Do people think you were dating? This is my lover, Doug. Handsome man, but
Yeah, you. Yeah,
Why is that
it's
dude
awkward
always with
sometimes.
you?
Yeah, basically, it can be awkward sometimes. A lot of the people that I was affiliated with once I had him were in 12-step programs or had known me from treatment prior to having him, so it wasn't that difficult to explain. This is just another step in my recovery.
I was worried that the minute your buddy left you, you'd go right back to the stuff. That's why the therapy's so important, right, Lynn?
Therapy
Combination
and
of the two.
community and living in community. Dealing with the trauma of your past, dealing with all those kind of things that help you understand why you drink and what's going to help me the next time I go by a bar or I want to call a physician for my prescribed Vicodin, why I'm not going to do that.
All right, if you'd
Hell
like
not to do that.
some more info on Sober Buddy, Sober Champion, you can log on to our website, mnjshow.com. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Be back in 90 seconds.
Well, good luck, man. 6
Yeah, good
months.
luck.
Good for you.
Still to come.
And I love you so much.
Think you know all the words to your favorite song? Wayne Brady bets you don't. But up next, Relationship 101. Never takes you out. Won't even talk about marriage. Today, the top signs it's time to get out.